Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into a full-on tutorial, a masterclass really, designed to take your UI animations from, stiff and robotic to incredibly natural and engaging. We're going to treat animation not just as an art, but as a science that you can code, tweak, and absolutely perfect. If you've ever felt like your interface motion was lacking a certain lifelike quality, or if you're just sort of copy-pasting code and hoping for the best, you are in the right place. We're going to change how you build interfaces forever.
All right, here's our syllabus for today's tutorial. We're going to hit the secret to motion, decode the animation graph, choose the right easing, master the cubic-bezier, and finally, weigh springs versus easing curves. We'll start with the foundational concepts and progressively build our way up to the really advanced coding techniques.
Okay, part 1, the secret to motion, timing versus spacing.
So if you really want to nail this, you have to understand the absolute difference between timing and spacing. Timing is just the duration, literally the beads or the distance between key frames on your timeline. But spacing? Spacing is the easing. It's how an object speeds up or slows down between those frames. It is the magic sauce that tells your brain whether a UI element acts like a heavy dropping bowling ball or a light bouncy beach ball. Master this, and you breathe total life into your design.
And believe it or not, this all goes right back to the classic Disney animation principles. As designers and developers, we can directly map these to our interfaces. Think about it. A little squash and stretch makes a button press feel super elastic. Applying slow in and slow out gives a swiping carousel actual, realistic physical momentum. We use arcs for fluid paths, anticipation to visually prep the user for what's coming, and overshoot to simulate real physics as an element settles into place. You aren't just moving pixels, you are literally simulating physics.
Moving right along to part 2. Decoding the animation graph and visualizing the curve.
So how do we actually control these behaviors? Well, you already have the ultimate tool for this, the graph editor. Reading it is super simple. The x-axis, that's your time, from start to finish. The y-axis is your animation progress. And the biggest takeaway here? Just look at the steepness of the curve. A steeper curve means faster change, and a flatter curve means slower change. Boom, you've just unlocked total control over how your animation feels. By mapping this out, we can plot some really complex cartoon physics right onto an X and Y axis. You can have a UI card actually dip backward in anticipation before it shoots forward, or have it push just a tiny bit past that 100% mark on the Y axis to create a really satisfying overshoot before it comes to rest. It's all just visual math, and I promise, no advanced physics degree is required. All right, part 3, choosing the right easing, practical rules for interfaces. Here is your ultimate cheat sheet for everyday UI decisions. Bringing an element onto the screen, like opening a modal, always go with ease out. It starts fast and slows down, making your app feel incredibly snappy. For elements morphing on screen, like a dynamic island, ease in out is perfect. Standard ease is great for gentle hover effects. But listen to me on this one. Avoid linear easing at all costs, unless you are animating a loading spinner or a marquee. Linear just feels robotic, and it totally kills the natural vibe we're going for. And here is a massive rule of thumb for this tutorial. Keep your animations between 120 and 300 milliseconds. If an interaction feels sluggish or annoyingly slow, I can almost guarantee the easing curve isn't the actual problem. You simply need to shorten that duration. Tighten the timing to get into that sweet spot before you even think about touching the curve.
Let's jump into part 4, mastering the cubic-bezier, hacking the math behind the magic.
Okay, let's pop the hood on the code. In CSS and JavaScript, we manipulate spacing using the cubic-bezier function. It looks like intimidating code, but it's really just math plotting out two movable handles, control points 1 and 2, between a fixed start and end point. Think of these handles like gravity and friction. They dictate exactly how your element accelerates or hits the brakes. Tweaking just 4 little numbers completely reshapes the user's experience.
It's wild how subtle variations in those 4 numeric values completely change the character of the motion. A standard CSS curve is totally fine, but by slightly adjusting those handles, you can bring the motion incredibly close to perfect physical kinematics. Tiny numeric tweaks equal massive perceptual upgrades. And for the advanced coders taking this masterclass, here is an absolute game changer. You do not have to stay inside the box. You can actually fake these beautiful, complex parabolic bounces in vanilla CSS simply by pushing your control point values massively outside the standard 0 to 1 boundaries. If you do that, the animation will visibly overshoot and bounce back, giving you this rich physics feel while keeping your app super lightweight. No heavy JavaScript libraries needed. Finally, part 5, springs versus easing curves. knowing when to let go of fixed time. Before you even touch your animation code, you have to ask yourself a fundamental question. Is this element actively reacting to a user's finger, or is the system just announcing a state change? Your answer completely dictates your approach.
So if the motion needs to stick to a user's swipe, preserve their drag velocity, and survive being interrupted mid-gesture, you absolutely need a spring physics engine. A fixed duration easing curve will just break the illusion if the user changes their mind halfway through, making everything feel super glitchy. But if it's just a toast notification politely sliding into view, an easing curve is completely fine. Choose the right tool for the interaction.
Remember, the whole point of this masterclass isn't to make you animate more, it's to help you animate with pure intent. So, as you wrap up this tutorial and head back to your code editors, ask yourself, does your motion actually earn its place, or is it just distracting the user? Take these concepts, apply them to your next project, and watch your interfaces come absolutely alive. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. What are you going to build next?